Algebra 2, this is Chapter 6, Section 1, and this is going to be a word problem, example 4 from your book, on finding the maximum value and why we would need this in a real-world situation. So let's read this problem. We've got a souvenir shop that sells about 200 coffee mugs each month for $6 each. The shop owner estimates that for each 50 cents increase in the price, he will sell about 10 fewer coffee mugs per month. Okay, so we need to know what our variable stands for. In this case, we're talking about we're going to increase 50 cents a whole bunch of times. So it makes sense that X would be the number of increases in price. So that basically is going to tell us everything else we need to know. Okay, so once we know that, then we want to figure out what else we can tell from the given situation. Well, we know it's going to be $6 to start with on the price, and then we're going to decrease 50 cents each time, or we're going to increase 50 cents each time. So that means we're going to have $6 plus a 0.5x increase, x being the number of times, so you'd multiply 0.5 times x to get the number, the total cost of the mug, cost per mug. Okay, and then we've got the other piece of this, and that's going to be, for every time we increase, we're going to sell 10 fewer coffee mugs. So we started out by selling 200 coffee mugs, but then for every increase, we're going to sell 10 less. So this is going to be coffee mugs sold. And there we have our information. And let's see if it's going to let me change color here. Okay, so there's our initial information that we can go off. From there, we know that if we multiply the cost per mug times the number of mugs sold, that would give us our total profit. So let's look at our next thing. What are we actually looking for in A and B? How much should the owner charge for each mug in order to maximize the monthly cost from their sales? Okay, so, and then the next one, what is the maximum monthly income the owner can expect to make from these items? Those are both really good questions. So in order to figure this out, we probably need to figure out monthly income, or how much total we're selling. So again, we get back to, we've got this 6 times 0.5, 6 plus 0.5x, and then we have 200 minus 10x. And if we multiply those together, that again is how much total profit we're going to make. So then we can use our FOIL method, and we'll just continue this down here. So we're going to take the 6 times the 200, which is 1,200. Right, FOIL method. Let me go back and grab a pen here. So we're going to take the 6 times the 200, and then we're going to take the 6 times the 10x. And then we're going to take this 0.5 times the 200 and this 0.5 times the x. And we get our lovely little crab claw. So anyway, we've got this 6 times 200 is 1,200, and then 6 times negative 10x is negative 60x. And then we'll go for the green stuff. And so half of 200 is 100x, and half of 10 is going to be 5x squared. And let me grab that and see if I can get a square on there. Okay. And then we'll combine our like terms and put this, oh, this is a negative right here, so it's minus. I'm going to put it in the right order, so minus 5x squared, and I'm still in exponent. Plus, and then 60x plus 10x, minus 60x plus 10x is going to be plus 40x, and then we've got plus 1,200. And that puts it in ax squared plus bx plus c format. And yes, that's kind of important that we know which format we're in. This is standard form of our quadratic. So now that we know this piece right here, It's our next important piece of information. We can start answering our question. Well, the maximum profit for this is going to be the top of our parabola. And we know it's the top because when we look at the ax squared plus bx plus c, the standard form, we see that the negative 5 means that it is a parabola. This negative 5 right here shows us that this is going to be a parabola that is facing down, so it will have a point on the top, a maximum value, and that's what we're going to try to find. So in order to find that, we have a formula, and our formula is for the x coordinate, it's going to be negative b over 2a. Okay, so let's look up here. This is a, right? That's b. So negative b would be a negative 40 over 2a. So that would be 2, and a is a negative 5. So if we multiply that out, that's going to be a negative 40 over a negative 10, which reduces to a positive 4. So our x-coordinate is going to be at 4, right there. And what does the x stand for? X is the number of increases in prices. So we're going to have 4 increases in prices in order to get to our maximum point. How much should the owner charge for each mug in order to maximize the monthly income? Maximize the monthly income. Well, our cost per mug is going to be figured with this formula, and our coffee mug sold is figured with that, and our total profit comes from that equation right there. Let me do that. That's a little bit clearer. Okay. So total, I guess total income, not really profit. Income. Total income is that whole formula. Now I can see everything. Okay, so we know we're going to have 4 increases in prices, and we want to know how much should the owner charge for each mug. For each mug, so we're going to use this right here to figure out cost per mug. So that's 6 plus 0.5 times 4, right, our 4 that we just got here. And so that's going to be 6 plus half of 4 is 2, and so we will charge $8 per mug. And that's part A. Part B, what is the maximum monthly income the owner can expect to make from these items? Okay, well, this is our income right here, so we need this whole formula. So let me retype that or copy it. Control C, copy it. Control V, paste it somewhere, bring it down. And we know that our x is 4. So we come down here, we can then fill in negative 5 times 4 squared plus 40 times 4, and now my mouse is not working properly again, plus the 1200. Okay, so then 4 squared is 16, so this is negative 5 times 16, plus 40 times 4 is 160, plus 120, or 1200. And then 5 times 16, well, 5 times 6 is 30, carry the 3, so that's 80. That's negative 80 plus 160 plus 1200. And these two together here make 80 plus 1200. And so we know our total income is going to be 1,280. And that answers both A and B of our question. But the more interesting thing is what happens if we graph this thing. So let me turn my calculator on. And I've moved it, so let me move it back down here. So I plugged in that formula. Notice the negative 5x squared. All right, let me move the mouse off that. So you see the negative 5x squared, and then plus 40x, and then plus 1200. And I had to change my window. I know since my y value, I was going to add 1200, my y value needed to be a lot bigger than just the normal 20. So then whenever I graph it, I get this parabola. And the neat thing about the calculator is I can trace. There's a button right here called trace. And you can just kind of arrow over it, and you'll see, looking at my y value, notice that this is supposed to be on 4. Right, so whenever I get really close to 4, this is getting really close to the 1280 we got. You can force it or have it do an even better calculation. If I do a calculation, see the calc right above the trace? So I go second trace to get to calculate, and I want to find the maximum. Oops, number 4 is maximum. I can then press enter on one side of the top of the curve, arrow to the other side of the top of the curve, to tell it what points, where to find the maximum between. And once I'm good with that, I take an enter, and it will calculate. See, it's calculating up here. And it comes out with exactly the 1280 that we got from our formula. So the calculator's pretty handy. See that 1280 right there, same 1280 we got up here.